Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. One short subject and on to the main subject. The short subject is what I believe is good news. You'll know yourself because I'm recording this on Friday. You're seeing it on Monday, February the 8th. And, well, I have to talk about Parler. I am pretty sure everybody knows what Parler is, but just in case there's somebody who doesn't, Parler is a social media website and app similar to Twitter. In fact, it's been called the conservative alternative to Twitter after conservatives have been getting kicked off of Twitter for saying the wrong thing. Of course, if you're a liberal, you can say whatever you want, but not if you're a conservative on Twitter. And that includes the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. He was kicked off of Twitter. The logical expectation was that he would move over to Parler. Other conservatives already have. Parler was, well, it's hypocritical on the part of our Democratic liberal friends who said to people getting kicked off of Twitter or having their speech restricted on Twitter, Facebook, etc., well, just start your own website, start your own social media app. Parler did. That's what Parler is, and what happened, their hosting service was Amazon Web Services, and Amazon kicked them off. So form your own, and then we won't let you on the internet. And since then, this has been a little over a month ago that this happened, Parler has been looking for a new host, and it just didn't make sense to me. It would seem that there would be somebody in the world who would, if not in the United States, somewhere in the world, somebody who would host Parler. I have to say now that it looks like they found somebody or did what I suggested, which was to, in an earlier vlog, create your own web service and nobody can kick you off. But here's the news, and you may already know this because I'm recording this on Friday. You're seeing it on Monday, February 8th. Here's the headline. Parler co-owner. Site could be back up on February 8th. So they may be up. If you want to, I was going to say stop the video and go look, but no, wait for me to finish my video, and then you can go and see if Parler is there. Because if they're there, if they're back on the internet, I hope they're back on the internet in such a way that they cannot be kicked off again. But let me just, couple short quotes from the article. Things are looking good for a re-platform of the social media website Parler, a co-owner said late Thursday. Quote, "We're shooting for Monday," unquote. Co-owner Don Bongino said on Fox News' Hannity. Quote, "Monday looks good, fingers crossed," unquote. And I'm crossing my fingers too. If I can make a suggestion to Parler, I definitely hope you're coming back because I belong to Parler, but I had a problem with Parler and nothing to do with speech. But unlike Twitter, where you just get a password, and once you have a password, the website remembers it. Unless I'm doing something wrong, I had to, I really hate this, what some of these websites are doing now, where they send a text to your cell phone with a number that you have to type in. So if you don't have if I'm out and about, I have my cell phone in my pocket. But if I'm home, in one room, maybe I'm downstairs and my cell phone is upstairs in the bedroom, recharging on the night table. So I try to go on a website, and then I got to run all the way upstairs, and I got to get my cell phone and run all the way back downstairs, and it's a pain, which is not to say that I couldn't use the exercises, you can probably tell by looking at me, but still it's a pain. So I wish they would do something where you could just sign in once and then just remember your password. It would make it so much more convenient, because that dissuades me from going on Parler. I haven't gone on it very much when it was around, and hopefully will be around again, because of the hassle that it was just to get onto the site. So I hope that will change, Parler, if you're listening to me, and you should be if you're not. So that's that headline. Now I want to go on to the main subject today, which is kind of related to Parler. It's about censorship. It's not about removing a whole website as happened to Parler, but this is related, and it's just getting worse. It's just getting worse, at least with, well, this is Facebook, but to show you how bad it is, I'm going to just give you a little excerpt from an article here, and then Jonathan Turley, a law professor whom I quote quite a bit, a liberal law professor, but he's very fair, and he's one of the pundits that I follow regularly. In fact, I'm on his email list. I get an email blast every morning. I don't know where he finds the time to write so much, but he does, and I'm glad he does. But first, this headline, which is from Just the News. It's a news website, and then we'll get to Turley. Facebook removes page of international disease experts critical of COVID lockdowns. Facebook this week removed the page of a prominent international group of disease experts that for months has been critical of COVID-19 lockdowns, with the social media page reportedly being deleted without warning or explanation. The Great Barrington Declaration made headlines last year with an international trio of epidemiologists arguing against the ongoing regional and national shutdowns worldwide in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The declaration, which has so far been signed by nearly 800,000 individuals worldwide, that's not a typo, 800 individuals worldwide, including tens of thousands of medical professionals and experts. So they expressed, quote, grave concerns about the damaging physical and mental health impacts of the prevailing COVID-19 policies, unquote, and urged public officials to adopt more targeted approaches to virus mitigation. And let me just digress for a second, because I read an article just the other day about, well, children committing suicide, children being out of school and remote learning at home, and they are having all kinds of psychological problems. And then there's the drug use, and I think a lot of the, I am pretty sure there has been an uptick in domestic violence because of cabin fever, people being just at home. I'm in Tennessee right now, and there's a deli with seating, and I can go there. There's a little pokey place, I don't know, those bowls with the rice and the stuff in it, Japanese. I can go there, they have some seating, but Starbucks has closed off its seating. The Barnes & Noble that I usually go to, they have a cafe. They took all the tables and chairs out of that. There is really nowhere to go. In fact, I go to the supermarket. Instead of going to the supermarket and buying a week's worth of groceries, I just buy what I need for the day, just to have somewhere to go. It's really absurd. It's just wrong. That's what this Great Barrington Declaration is. It's a declaration. It's a manifesto that a group of experts, medical experts, epidemiologists who know about this stuff, put out, and they made it a petition for people to sign. 800,000 people have signed it. So anyways, just to finish up quoting from this article, Facebook did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the removal on Friday morning. So maybe this will be one of those instances, as happens every so often, but only to conservatives. It doesn't seem to happen to liberals. It just happens to conservatives, but they get removed and then they get put back, and Facebook or whoever the platform is says, well, it was a mistake. Sorry, it was a mistake. But it doesn't seem to happen to liberals, only to conservatives. So make of that what you will. Now, here is another article, and then we'll be getting to Turley, but I just want to give you the background so you know what Turley is talking about. You thought that was bad, what I just told you about Facebook. YouTube cancels the U.S. Senate. Google's YouTube has ratcheted up censorship to a new level by removing 2 videos from a U.S. Senate committee. They were from a December 8th Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs hearing on early treatment of COVID-19. One was a 30-minute summary. The other was the opening statement of critical care specialist Pierre Kory. Dr. Kory is part of a world-renowned group of physicians who developed the groundbreaking use of corticosteroids to treat hospitalized COVID patients. His testimony at a May Senate hearing helped doctors rethink treatment protocols and saved lives. The censors, and this is the really scary part, the censors at YouTube have decided for all of us that the American people shouldn't be able to hear what senators heard. Apparently they, meaning YouTube, are smarter than medical doctors who have devoted their lives to science and use their skills to save lives. They have decided there is only one medical viewpoint allowed, and it is the viewpoint dictated by government agencies. Government-sanctioned censorship of ideas and speech should frighten us all. Yeah, it should, because that's what they're doing. They have one narrative. It's whatever Dr. Fauci says. If he says that masks don't work, then you cannot say that masks do work. If he later changes his mind and says that, well, the masks do work after all, then you suddenly cannot say that masks don't work. And if you have an old video from before Fauci changed his mind, then that video gets taken down. And then if he says, well, if one mask is good, two are even better, then you better not disagree. And if you agree with him and then he changes his mind later, which I believe he did, then you see what it is. It's Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass, combined with Kafka. It's like Kafka through the looking glass. That's what it is. There's no logic to this at all. It's whatever YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or Amazon, whatever they believe or think at any particular moment, subject to change in the next moment. So now we get to Turley, because Turley, instead of giving you you've been hearing my opinion, but Turley states it so well, so I want to give you Turley in his own words, now that you have what I just told you as background. So, headline, YouTube censors Senate testimony from doctor on possible COVID drug. It's the editorial it's Turley, not me. It could be me too. We have been discussing how writers, editors, commentators, and academics have embraced rising calls for censorship and speech controls, including President-elect Joe Biden and his key advisors. The erosion of free speech has been radically accelerated by the big tech and social media companies, including YouTube. Now, YouTube has censored actual testimony given to the United States Senate by Dr. Pierre Kory, who was testifying on different drug treatment. So now these companies are going to censor what was told to the government and decide what viewers will be allowed to consider from the public debate. It is a continuation of the movement to prevent people from hearing opposing views and to control what is shared or discussed in a growing attack on free speech. YouTube removed 2 videos from a December 8th hearing before the Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. It featured Kory, who discussed the use of ivermectin, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, ivermectin or ivermectin, as a potential treatment for COVID-19, particularly in the early stages. It is a drug that treats tropical diseases caused by parasites. Kory was calling for a review by National Institutes of Health on trials for the drug. Ultimately, it does appear that the NIH did change the status of the drug. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican Wisconsin, has said that the videos were blocked on his account, including Kory's testimony. The Federalist, that's a conservative website if you've never heard of them, The Federalist maintained that YouTube removed the videos to the platform's COVID-19 medical misinformation policy. That policy stipulates that anything which goes against, quote, local health authorities or the World Health Organization's medical information about COVID-19, unquote, will be removed. So local health authorities and the World Health Organization have the final word on COVID. If you are a highly credentialed medical expert, no matter how expert you are, no matter how many decades of experience you have, if you disagree with the World Health Organization or some local health authority on COVID, then anything you say, even in front of a Senate committee, would be or will be removed. That's what they did, unless they say later, as sometimes happens, that they made a mistake. But it looks like it's deliberate, and they have this COVID-19 medical misinformation policy, which again seems to mean that anything that is not what the World Health Organization or the local health authorities say is considered misinformation. And now back to the article, just one short paragraph to quote. It sums up Turley's opinion and mine, and I hope yours. I can hardly shed light on the merits of the medical debate, but this is the censoring of an actual Senate hearing that is so disturbing. YouTube is preventing citizens from watching testimony on an issue of national importance. It is an example of the slippery slope of censorship and how such speech regulation becomes an insatiable appetite for many. And appetite for many, I would say appetite for Democrats. That's what this really is, because I'm not hearing these calls for censorship from anybody on the right. There's a comment section below the video. If I miss somebody, you can put it in there. But even if there is, I will say that relative to the Democratic calls for censorship, I would say that it doesn't even compare. Doesn't even compare. If there are any Republican examples, they are very, very rare. But this brings us now to my main point is, what does the public do? What do we do about this? What do we do about this censorship? We, as individuals, all we can do is not visit a website, but that doesn't really solve the problem. What do you do when a website censors a Senate hearing? You have to know about that Senate hearing, and then you can go watch it. Well, you can't on YouTube, as you should be able to do. You have to go to C-SPAN or somewhere and try to find it, or maybe there's a congressional website. So what do you do about it? Well, I am happy to report that in what I hope will be the first of many, many actions, a Republican is doing something about this censorship. The person doing it happens to be a governor, a Republican governor, Ron DeSantis of Florida. So here's the headline: finally, a Republican leader declares war on big tech. So what exactly is he doing? I'll quote from the article. It's really good. And well, let me quote from the article first. A Republican leader has decided to take on big tech. It's high time. While other Republican legislators complain and pontificate about Twitter, Facebook, and Google's interference in our elections and censoring of conservative voices, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has declared war on the tech giants. DeSantis is proposing, and this is good, this is a great idea, DeSantis is proposing legislation that asks the Florida state legislature to impose stiff fines up to $100,000 per day on tech companies that, quote, deplatform, unquote, political candidates running for office in his state. Candidates like, for instance, Donald Trump, calling the tech giants, quote, enforcers of preferred narratives, unquote, which is exactly what they are, whose interests are, quote, not in the public interest, unquote. DeSantis, a Republican, wants to, quote, ensure the protection of the people and their rights, unquote. His proposed bill would allow individuals and the Florida Attorney General to sue firms that violate newly established safeguards against privacy violations and censorship. DeSantis also suggested that other activities, such as colluding to ban people or companies from payment platforms or from cloud services, could also be outlawed, which is Parler. That's exactly what happened to Parler. Amazon Web Services kicked Parler off. So that would be outlawed in Florida, which, as a practical matter, if this legislation gets passed, it's the same as California requiring certain emissions, let's say equipment or safety equipment on an automobile. If you have to do it for California, well, you're not going to do it for just one state, so you really have to do it for the whole country. So ideally, that is what this would lead to, that if they want to operate in Florida, then they have to, well, they can't kick such sites off again, and they have the choice then. Amazon Web Services, for example, would have the choice of whether to create some kind of special programming. I don't know how it would be done, or if it's even possible, that would just keep a particular website on the web service only in Florida, but people outside the state would not be able to access the web service. I don't know how that works, but all in all, it's a great idea. And well, let me just give you a couple more quotes here, and then I'll give you my little wind-up. Presuming that the popular governor can get his measure passed by the Republican-controlled state legislature, it could become a template for the other 23 GOP-led states. It could, in effect, be the beginning of a revolt against the unacceptable dominance and manipulation of our nation's discourse by big tech. And that's what that's what I was going to get to, but DeSantis got to it. So now I don't have to get to it. But I'm hoping this would be a template for other states. If you have 23 states doing that, 23 states fining Amazon and Facebook and Twitter $100,000 a day, as you can see, that adds up. I mean, you only need 10 states, and then you're talking about $1 million a day. They would be fined until they allowed whoever was kicked off back on. That's how it would work. Until now, Republican legislators looked incapable of mounting any serious response to the offensive behavior. Holding committee hearings in Congress allows for plenty of sniping, but not much more. Maybe Ron DeSantis has discovered the way forward. Some think the Florida governor might run for president in 2024. If so, tackling big tech will surely give him a boost. It surely would. I would hope, I'm hoping that Trump runs again, but if not, DeSantis would be a good alternative. My plan B had been Ted Cruz, but Ron DeSantis, everything I've read about Ron DeSantis I've liked. So if he runs for president and Trump is not running, then I would have to consider him. And I would also like all of you to consider giving me a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? Comment section below the video. You can put questions, suggestions for future topics. You could also visit my music channel where I put my original songs. I would love to have people come and visit my music and listen to my music. There's a link in the description. You could subscribe. I love getting more subscribers. The more subscribers, the better. Maybe I can monetize this channel someday. Who knows? It's just a dream, but maybe someday. But whether I get enough subscriptions or not, or whether I ever monetize this channel or not, I appreciate the time that you all spend with me watching my vlog. I really do appreciate it. I hope I'll see all of you back again. And until I do see you all again, bye.